Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Perfect. All right. We are live, Joseph Prano, in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host via Venice Beach, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Joe. That's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
How was your birthday, buddy?
Can I be honest with you, Andy?
Yeah, be honest. That's what we're all about here.
It was awful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a terrible birthday, I'm not a big fan of my birthday in general, but, at least the one good thing about your birthday, even if you don't like it, is a lot of people who care about you ask you in advance or the day of, like, hey, man, what do you want to do for your birthday? So, the last couple of years, we've had our fair share of beach volleyball days, and we did the Laz party last year, and there's always something. People get together and do something for your birthday. This year, with all the horse shit that's going down, just nothing to do. I do appreciate the tweets and the Instagrams that you sent out via Dirty Sports. I appreciate all the tweets and Instagrams. Dirtballs tagged me in, and of course, as always, I appreciate the Venmo donations. Many people sent me some dough yesterday, telling me to have some Miller Lights for my birthday, which I did. But besides the delicious Miller Lights, really a lackluster day. I had some donuts, I had some Miller Lights, and I stayed inside.
But here's the thing: you're always been one who's critical of birthdays. So
yeah,
in a way, you don't normally make too big of a hoopla about it anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's the thing. I didn't want to, I guess the thing is like I didn't miss certainly the cake and a celebration or anything like that. But, just aging a year while you're stuck at home because the mayor's closed the beach, but the beach can open today on Monday, and blah blah blah. It's like, and I gotta say, Andy, we're in an interesting place as a country right now. We talked when this started about how I was really hopeful that this was going to do for us what 9/11 did for New York, which is, even if it was just for a short period of time, bring people together. It is not doing that.
It's doing the opposite.
I mean, I did. My girlfriend did take me out to dinner last night, which was nice. We went and had to sit at an outdoor seating restaurant because you can't eat indoors. And some fucking homeless person grabbed fries off her plate as she was walking by, and everybody's just disgusting these days.
Where were you at? Where was that at?
We were at Ingo's, diner, whatever it's called, Ingo's Fancy Diner or something like that. It's on I believe it's on Wilshire and 13th or something like that. Nice, really nice place. And they don't normally have outside seating, but I'm sure they've gotten permits to move tables to the sidewalk. And it was just homeless people were walking by and grabbing shit off people's plates. And
but see, that's where I'm at, man. I don't know, obviously where I'm kind of headed toward. It's just I don't want to deal with that shit right now. Like now that I've been away from it for 2 months, today's day 59 away from Los Angeles, and obviously I'm coming back less than a month. It's just I don't want to deal with that.
But I guess, I think the sad thing is at this point, it's not, the homeless thing. Are you drinking out of a Blue Lives Matter cup? What is going on over there? Are you subtly supporting the Cincinnati Police Department?
It's a 5K run, kids run.
I think that the homeless thing is one thing, but just the general negativity that's everywhere. Basically your choices now are seclusion, which I feel like is kind of what you've been doing. You're in Cincinnati, you're in Midwest seclusion.
True.
Or just like the horribleness that is people these days.
Well, it all comes back to my thing of two things can exist at once. For some reason, our mindset on a lot of people is that they can't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like two things, like I said a few episodes ago, the founding fathers could be slaveholders, which is bad. They can also create an amazing constitution, which is good. It's like two things can exist at once. You can commit a crime, which is not good, but you also should not be murdered by a cop for committing that crime. Again, two things can exist at once. You could be a criminal, but you also shouldn't be killed. I don't know why this is such a hard concept. And I think that's, you talk about the problem with our country. I think that's the problem right now, is that people don't want to see things through multiple prisms.
I got to say, Andy, I think the problem with our country is just a general low level of intelligence. I think that's it too. I think the majority of the population in the United States is dumb as shit. I don't know what my IQ is, Andy. I've never had my IQ tested, but here's what I know it's above. It's above enjoying fucking fireworks. I'm so excited that there was no fucking fireworks events for 4th of July this year. But yet, meanwhile, people in Los Angeles had to have their bang bang boom booms. I need my bang booms. I need my bang booms.
Poor dogs.
How dumb a person are you if like one firework for destruction? I at least understand the end game there. Let's blow some things up. But like, I need loud noises. The entire country is brick from Anchorman.
Well, you and I have always been on the fireworks are arguably the most overrated. Like I put them up there, my top 5 most overrated things of all time. But I think you're right. I want to go back to your point about people being stupid. I was having a good conversation with my friend who's Canadian. He's now American as well. You know, he's an American citizen as well. And we were talking about voting by mail, right, Joe?
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, dude, I have voted by mail since 2008. Like, I don't understand why it's even a thing, why people are anti-voting by mail, especially since it's always been a thing. And he said basically what you said. He goes, Andy, because I said to him, I said, it literally takes not even 5 minutes to go online. If you have access to the internet, and probably 90% of our country has access to the internet. You fill out something online. They literally send you your ballot, Joe, with a self-addressed stamp back. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to do anything. And I said to my buddy, everyone should vote by mail. Who wants to wait in line? And that's what he said. He goes, dude, I don't think you realize how dumb our country is. And as an outsider who's now lived here, I don't think you realize even the quote unquote educated smart people don't realize, why are they waiting in line for 6 hours to vote when you could literally have it all sent to your house? That's how dumb our country is.
Yeah. We're dumb.
On that note, let's talk some sports, Joe.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
And honestly, I am getting, and maybe this is contributing to my negativity, but I am getting less and less hopeful about sports. I mean, nothing is going right. Like the Yankees had batting practice yesterday. Tanaka's dead. You know, like every training thing that's happened, somebody leaves with corona. The NBA bubble is going to include, basically, we're Kawhi, LeBron, and Giannis are going to play knockout for the NBA championship. Guys are sitting out. Like it's one of those things too, where like now I know you have it on the rundown. The Mike Trouts of like, if you got guys like Mike Trout that are like, I might sit out. What are we doing anymore?
I agree. And we can start off with that. You know, as of now, and they're not, you know, they're veterans, but the guys who in the last few days who have said they're not going to play, David Price, who's obviously still a very, very good pitcher. Felix Hernandez today, Nick Markakis said he's not going to play. Again, veterans, you know, not the young guys, but
all-stars.
Still, yeah. I mean, the David Price thing it says a lot. He's giving up $11.8 million to not play this year.
I mean, he's super rich already.
Sure.
He signed a $200 million deal or whatever. We know he loves video games, so we know, he's about to get pretty heavily into Call of Duty. But David Price is one thing. You got a pitcher. He's, I guess, made a lot of money. He's proven something. Lord knows all these guys these days with their arms, and they just don't last. But again, Mike Trout, Mike Trout is chasing history.
Sure.
Mike Trout's just going to sit out the baseball season.
Well, obviously he's not sitting out yet.
He hasn't made it, but I mean, he's thinking about it.
He's thinking about it.
And I understand that the Angels have not competed for a World Series in Mike Trout's career, but I mean, just that level, the single best player in the sport, considering it, is wild.
It is, and it really is. I think him alone is kind of a microcosm of all the sports and all the athletes. And obviously his situation is, for anybody who doesn't know, his wife is pregnant, and I understand he wants to be there for when his child's born. And if he came down with it, he wouldn't be allowed in the hospital. So you have all these factors. And I personally think, as much as both of us want sports, I just don't know how this works. I know we keep saying this, and I've changed my tune 100% on this. But like you're saying, as each day goes on and more guys drop out or more guys show their concerns, and I don't know if you saw this, and I don't know if I added this to the rundown, the Nationals didn't practice today because Major League Baseball still has not given the test results from the team and staff from Friday. So the GM said, we're not playing today. That was 3 days ago. You guys can't even turn around our test times. So we're not practicing because we don't know who has it right now.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. We don't just want sports back. We need sports back. And by we, I mean you and I, we desperately need sports back. This show is getting harder and harder to do when you don't have sports. But at the same time, we've been talking about what, are these seasons asterisks or whatever. It's like, this is the idea that you're just going to play these seasons without major players or without guys saying, or random moments where it's just, hey, LeBron's out the next 2 weeks. He's completely healthy to play. He feels fine, but he's out the next 2 weeks. He's got to be this stuff is it just, I mean, obviously people are watching NASCAR. They're watching Korean baseball. People will watch sports. If Mike Trout doesn't play and LeBron doesn't play and Tom Brady doesn't play, people are still going to watch football, basketball, and baseball. But it's just not the same. And we have to realize that, I mean, I guess in a way it's good for the owners. It'll prove that no one's bigger than the sport, but damn it if it won't be bullshit.
Yeah, it's just a watered down version. And I really liked, I don't know if you saw this, I really liked what Sean Doolittle said from the Nationals. And it's a long quote, and I'll read some of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I think, he hit on some key points. He said, I do think, let me just get to the ones I want to talk about. I like this. He said, we're trying to bring back baseball during a pandemic that's killed 130,000 people. We're way worse off as a country than we were in March when we shut this thing down. And look at where other developed countries are in their response to this. We haven't done any of the things that other countries have done to bring sports back. Sports are like the reward of a functioning society. And I think his point is valid that we haven't got to where we need to get to, I don't think, as a country from safety, health, right? And we're just so ready to hit sports. And trust me, I've been critical of the economic stuff as well. But like you're saying, at what point is this the sports that we know it if the big players aren't playing or they get COVID or all these precautions? It's just, I don't know what it is. It's like an alternate year of sports that's this weird asterisk or whatever it is. It just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, and we have handled it horribly. And people, I mean, the bottom line is everybody loves to, every American or the majority of Americans love to, pound their chests on 4th of July and set off their explosions and talk about America, rah, rah, number one. It's like, it's embarrassing the way that we've handled it. And honestly, everybody's talking about having their freedoms stomped on with the masks and all that stuff. Like, I honestly think at this point, go further. I say instead of giving us another $1,200 stimulus check, give us $1,200 worth of stuff that will make us survive for 2 weeks and deliver it to our door, and you're not allowed outside. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to steal.
Have you been listening to what I've been saying all weekend? That's so funny.
Send me $1,200 via Amazon of toilet paper and frozen pizzas and food, and you can go onto a website and you click on your dietary issues and you get a box that shows up, and you're not allowed outside for 2 fucking weeks. You know why? Because you guys can't handle it.
Well, it's actually basically what I was saying this weekend and my brothers. That's actually what I said July 4th when we were swimming with the kids. I said at this point, we need to just shut down everything for 2 weeks. And my one sister-in-law was like, how's that going to play out? And I understand. And my brother said the same thing. I said, look, if we literally did what you're saying, if nobody left their house for 2 weeks, minus like the people who have to, right?
Doctors,
nurses,
not Ralph's, not fucking Albertsons and places, none of that shit. Because
no
you know what the thing is? I haven't been to a supermarket except for, I barely at this point I'm doing like the shopping thing. It's like, yeah, I go out for dinner last night outside and whatever. But like the idea that there's still like the lines of people. I went by your Trader Joe's in the Marina the other day. It's like around the corner before 4th of July. It's like, how do you guys need to do this?
Yeah. So I think in a crazy way, like that's the solution, which it's funny if you look back on it. If you would have said when this started, we just shut down everything, and like we're saying, everything for 2 weeks, we would have been so much better off, not only health-wise, but economically. And I know it's 2020's hindsight, but even take California, right?
But we remember the videos from Italy of like the mayors walking around being like, go home, this is closed, this is not open. and dude, we said LA County beaches are closed. I don't know if you saw my tweet. I was like, update from Venice Beach. All county beaches are closed unless you just come to the beach and go, because they're doing nothing. Beaches were not closed this weekend. They were very open.
I was going to ask you about that.
Open.
So they said the beaches were closed in LA County. A lot of people were out, and were they enforcing it?
No, nothing.
Yeah, man.
So parking lots are closed, and they're putting a fucking notice out so that people don't come to the beach. But if you do, you're fine.
There's no ramifications if you do.
Or do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I said that to a cop yesterday. I was like, I'm not trying to be an asshole to you guys, but I didn't surf this morning. And I don't know if you remember, but like that was my goal, was to surf by my birthday with my leg injury. And I didn't surf yesterday. Now, I beat that by a month or so, but I haven't surfed that much. But the goal was to surf. And I like to surf on my birthday. It's like, a treat to myself. I didn't surf yesterday because beaches are supposedly closed. But I saw tons of people surfing. And I said to a cop, I go, what is the deal? And he's like, what are we supposed to do? I don't know, man. But like, I guess something.
Well, it is tough if
I hate to say defund the police, but like, what are you guys? What would you say you do here?
Well, you're right. It's not. It's hypocritical because you want to surf, and you're actually trying to obey the law and not surf. But if they didn't quote unquote close the beaches, you would be surfing. So
Beaches were closed yesterday. Beaches were closed for the weekend. People are on the beach. All fireworks are illegal. Fireworks. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but the fireworks all over LA.
I saw the video.
More fireworks than we've ever had.
That's what they said. I saw the video. Nuts.
More fireworks than we've ever had. Homeless people everywhere. Like the idea that these police officers are all sitting in their car and waiting for either some sort of Heat style bank robbery that they can all thwart, or just waiting for a black guy to write a bad check so they can murder him is ridiculous. What would you guys say you do here?
I mean, look, I think we are at the point of, guys, I don't know what else to do besides just shut this shit down. Like, for LA, I know the restaurants are supposed to reopen in 3 weeks, but what is that? Well, my question would be like, is that really going to curb it? Or I don't know. I think seclusion's I think seclusion's the move, dude. Seclusion. Hawaii.
Yeah.
Iceland. Australia. New Zealand.
But here's the thing is, like, again, you go back to what I said, like, I'm not worried about getting sick. My whole thing, of course, is like, you're trying not to get anybody who might die of this sick.
Sure.
And of course, there's tons of stories out there about young people who really struggle with it too. But I mean, just the general opposition to people trying to do something about this is why our country is so fucking stupid. I mean, like the Joe Rogan Bill Burr exchange, and I don't watch a ton of Rogan or listen to a ton of Rogan, but obviously that was shared everywhere. That is the epitome of America.
I think he was joking. He claims he was. Whether he was or wasn't, I don't know.
But Bill Burr nailed it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a doctor. You over there pretending you're a fucking, you know what you're talking about. Like, wear a mask, dude. But like, it's that is like the epitome of America right now, because a lot of people are running around and going like, oh, I know this. I know my friend of a friend of a friend is a doctor, and he says, and you're like, this guy who I'm in a Facebook group with, and you're like, all right, bro, whatever. What about the hospitalizations?
Well, look, I think you're seeing hypocrisy from all levels, from all sides. This has turned into a political thing, which is the worst thing it could possibly do, right? And
by the way, Kanye West is by far the most qualified presidential candidate of the three major presidential candidates right now.
You gonna vote for Ye?
I might vote for Ye, honestly. And I tweeted it, but it wasn't a joke. He is the most coherent of the three major presidential candidates, and he is not coherent. He, by the way, is open about having mental illness and is by far the most coherent of the three major presidential candidates. I'm trying to Prano 2020 up there, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody tweeted Kanye. I am willing to take 8 years as a vice presidential. I mean, I haven't heard from Bill Walton lately. He hasn't shown up in my DMs wanting to know about our presidential run. So I am willing to step down. I am willing to take a step back and be Kanye's vice president for 8 years.
I think Bill's quarantining in his teepee in San Diego.
Yeah.
That's a place I'd like to quarantine with. Being in that giant teepee with Bill.
Yeah.
Smoking some hash, some good weed.
Here's the deal. This is a good general rule for coronavirus. Stay my arm's length away from everybody. I have a 7-foot wingspan and I just spin around. And if I can hit you, you're too goddamn close. And you know, I don't like to swear, Andy, but gosh darn it, if these aren't unprecedented times.
I agree with Bill. So the Bucks, Clippers, Heat, Nuggets, and Nets. So that is 5 teams shut down their practice facilities within the last week.
Cool.
So once again, I mean, look, I don't want to be this guy, but we just talked about Major League Baseball. I just named 5 teams who shut down their practice facility in the last week. What are we even really doing here? And like you said, Joe, you and I need sports more than anybody. We are a sports show twice a week. But I don't know. I don't want to be, bleak or, negative, but I just think this is reality at this point, right? Like if teams are shutting down facilities left and right, what are we doing?
Yeah. And I think you go back to the Doolittle quote. I think it's completely right. This is much like the baseball thing. It wasn't about coronavirus for a long time in the baseball negotiations. And, baseball could have been back, or we could have been further along in the negotiations if it wasn't all about money. We could have sports back. They're playing baseball in Korea, guys.
I watched it. I watched opening day.
They're playing baseball in Korea every night on ESPN. Korean baseball.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling Koreans weren't being like, it's a hoax.
Yeah.
This is all for election. It's because it's an election year. Man, I am really surprised how involved Korea and Australia and Italy and Spain were in affecting the U.S. presidential election. No doubt. I mean, Italy went hard on killing old people to try to make sure Joe Biden got elected.
I can see your frustration, Joe. I can hear it. I can see it. It's understandable.
I'm over it. It's like, and like just the stupidity of people is just horrific. And that's the thing. I just walk around going, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb.
Well, the problem is you can't go places.
Yeah, that is the problem, Andy. You can't go places.
Hold on. It's a combination. You can't go places.
Or talk to people. Or read the news.
That's what I'm saying.
Or go on social media.
That's what I was about to say. You have more free time. And by you, I mean me too. I'm just as guilty. Then you suddenly have this vacuum of time and you're spending it on social media and you're seeing all these things. That's why, like, to be honest, that's why I just keep staying home. Like, working in the yard, we're painting the whole outside of the house. Like all these little things for me, you're right. I have been in my own bubble. Like I went to my little brother's house and they have a pool twice last week. You're playing with 3-year-olds and 8-year-olds. It's like, I don't know what's going on. And when I do, I'm just like, this just gets me frustrated. It's even like myself. Like I post, and we'll get to that story now. It's like I post a Twitter poll mocking all sides as far as, the Washington Redskins name. And people are instantly assuming that like I want the name. It's wild. Dude, the assumptions.
It's funny because I didn't see your poll, but I wrote a joke and I didn't tweet it because I was afraid people were going to think that I'm like, so my joke was, after FedEx demanded that the Redskins change their name, I was like, if the Redskins don't want to change their name, what they should do is tell FedEx that they should expect the name change at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, and then just never change it, because that's how FedEx delivers your packages. 10:30 tomorrow, it'll be there, and then it never arrives. And then I was just like, you know what? I don't even want stupid people replying and being like, why shouldn't they change it?
But that's what I'm saying. My Twitter poll that I posted on Friday said, what is a more fitting name for the DC football team? And the two options were Washington Hypocrites or Washington Virtue Signalers, which, again, hypocrites, I'm talking about everybody there, politicians, people, everybody. The Virtue Signalers obviously is more of a dig at the woke crowd. But yeah, Prano, exactly. People were coming to me like, of course. Somebody wrote, of course, the guy who doesn't want Nets also doesn't want to change the name. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. You clearly don't listen to my show. I've been saying change the name for years now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what me not wanting nets at a game has anything to do with it, but
Yeah, that's a great. That's like I want to talk about dumb people. Like I want to sit down with that person and give them like a protractor and a ruler and like 10 different colored pencils, and I'd be like, diagram how you connected these two.
yeah, it's just
By the way, I think they should change the name to the Washington Monuments and just troll everybody. And then people are like, we have to take it down.
that's a brilliant idea. The monuments.
And by the way, I saw a great tweet, somebody saying the Washington Warriors, and they had the whole uniform, like basically they wouldn't have to change anything. And my Pop Warner team was the Midwestchester Warriors, and we were Redskins colors, and it was it was everything Redskins except we weren't called the Redskins. And it's a no-brainer.
Well, look, there are a few things I want to discuss here. One, I think I'm against changing a lot of things as far as for like PC or woke culture, but I don't think this is one of them. And I think the term
This has been a question for our whole lifetime.
I think for me personally, there is a huge difference between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington Redskins, in my opinion. I think the term Redskin is derogatory. You're not going to name a team white skins or black skins or yellow skins. It's derogatory. I just and the term chief is more of a generic term. I'm just saying.
I honestly think that they should just change. I think they should keep the Kansas City Chiefs. They should just like lose the arrowhead and just embrace just dads calling each other chief. Like, we're the Kansas City Chiefs. What's up, Chief? Hey, Chief. Hey, it's a great lawnmower you got there, Chief. Just take the Native American reference out and just have the logo be a thumbs up or a guy pointing at you. Hey, I like that Cadillac, Chief. What year is that, Chief?
Yeah, I agree. I like that. So
their mascot could be Damo.
I was just gonna say Damo.
What's up, Chief?
Keep it, Chief.
He's more of a guy, but
it's in the same line. It's in the same wheelhouse. I think this has been in the works for a while, as we know, and I just want to the people who are so anti it. I just want to bring a few teams that change because people are acting like this is new, and I just want to bring some history into it, Joe, and through some college teams.
But you just said before you do that, you just said the people who are anti. My question is, are these real people? Who are you?
They are.
Who are you?
There's some members of my family.
But why? Your family's not even Redskins fans. Why do they care?
Well, that's a good question, and I asked that exact question.
If tomorrow, okay, your family, I assume, is mostly Bengals fans.
No, they hate the Bengals, actually.
Okay, let's put it this way. My family is entirely Giants fans.
Sure.
Right? If the Giants tomorrow said, we're not going to be the Giants anymore, we're going to be the New York Gladiators, I'd be like, okay, I don't know why, but I don't care. Like,
yeah,
who cares?
Well, it doesn't bother me personally, and I think people are worried about where does it end?
It ends with when all the racial slurs are gone.
Well, look, I think there is a discussion to be made there. I think what I was going to say briefly was there is a precedent. Like Miami of Ohio, in where I live, my country, it's about an hour north.
South Beach.
They were called the Redskins.
Right.
Up until the mid-90s. And they changed to the Red Hawks. Now, I remember I was in high school at the time, and I remember it was controversial. But again, 20 years ago. And it was right around that same time that St. John's, this was all kind of in the mid to late 90s. St. John's changed from the Red Men to the Red Storm. Marquette, which was Warriors, which had a Native American logo, but again, it was Warriors. So I don't know why they ended up going to Golden Eagles. So you had a lot of these colleges, is my point, changing around that time. I will say this though, Joe, and I think there is an argument to be made. If you're going to change some of these, you could argue the Fighting Irish is just offensive to Irish people. You really could, though.
Okay.
I think that is a feasible argument from the other side, saying if we're going to get rid of Redskins, we got to get rid of Fighting Irish. And I think that's
but we have seen, you know, the Native Americans in Cleveland. We've seen the Native Americans in Washington out there with the signs. If it offends people, then change it. Like, and I get that we can't cater to everybody, but if you're having like tribes show up now, if you know the county Cork society shows up at Notre Dame and is like, change the name, you know, whatever, I'm terrible Irish accent, then we'll listen to them. I haven't seen that yet. And also, what, then just make it the Irish, but like, we also have the Fighting Illini, you know, like the fight. Is the name the Brawling Drunkards, or is it the Fighting Irish? Like, it's not the Fighting Irish, right? Like,
well, look, I mean, there are a lot of polls that show that a lot of Native Americans don't care for the Redskins name, and that's been tossed around a lot. Now, and these are, a lot of these polls seem pretty legit, that claim anywhere from 80 to 90% of Native Americans don't care. And that's what that side would also argue as well.
okay.
Again, I would argue back that the term Redskin is a lot different than Chief, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Braves, and even Indians. But like, Indians obviously is offensive for a whole other reason, for besides Chief Wahoo, which they got rid of. But this ain't India.
Yeah, I agree.
This isn't the West Indies.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And that's always been my thing. And I don't use the term, to be honest, ever, because it's geographically ignorant.
Yeah.
They were called the wrong thing because the first people who set foot in North America thought they were in India, and they weren't.
Yeah.
So the term is just ignorant and it's incorrect. So I don't even use it. And because I want to speak the truth, they're not Indians. They're Native Americans. They were the first ones here. They were native.
If you go to Wikipedia for Redskin, and obviously Wikipedia is changeable, but the end of the term Redskin on Wikipedia says, in contemporary dictionaries of American English, and then they give these words and they give notations, it is labeled usually offensive, disparaging, insulting, or taboo. I don't think if you looked up the word chief or brave, that they would be like, generally, I mean, again, maybe it's disparaging when white guys do it to each other, and it's a good lawnmower, chief, you know? But like, again, there's cancel culture, and there's just general like just like having an honest conversation. We talk about, you know, on this show, how many times you go back and you look at comedy bits that were said in the 80s that would now be like faux pas. When Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and Carlin and, you know, Sam Kinison and Dice were doing things that everybody now would consider super offensive, there was already a conversation that the Redskins should change their name.
Yeah.
That's a conversation we've had our entire lives.
Sure.
I mean, am I wrong? Do you not remember that as a kid?
No, I do. And
so this isn't cancel culture. This isn't wokeness.
No.
There were parents cursing at children and beating their kids and doing all the stuff that we dealt with as children in the 80s that aren't okay now.
So where my parents' house is, it's in Anderson Township. It's in a little township in Cincinnati. And the local high school here, had I gone to public school, is the Anderson Redskins. And basically the same, very similar logo as Washington, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. This has been a battle that's been going on for years. They voted on it last week. They are going to change the name. Um, and it's always been a huge controversy. In fact, it actually made the Wall Street Journal. There's this huge battle. They did a huge piece on it last week. And it's the same thing where, even like I said, members of my family get angry and like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, well, look, dude, it's different. Like I said, it's different than Chiefs or Braves. And, there are legitimate questions. My friend brought up a legitimate question. He said, it's going to cost a lot of money to change the name. He's more like, I don't want to be paying the taxpayer dollars on this.
Who's it? What it's going to cost? Who money?
The school, and it will.
To what? Repaint some shit, change some
No,
uniforms?
all that stuff. It's going to cost a couple $100,000. I mean, they're already estimating that.
Okay.
And I understand, again, it's a small little township, and he's like, I don't want to be paying. So again, I said, but this is long overdue. And it's kind of like the Washington Redskins thing, like you're saying, Joe. This isn't, and I think that's a very good point to make to our listeners. You and I are, late 30s, early 40s. We've heard this our whole life. This isn't suddenly woke culture.
I mean, dude, it's the exact same thing where the public high school I would have gone to is the Indians. It's still the Indians. We're the road I grew up in Katona, which is named after, an Indian tribe. The chief and his children and his wife are all buried on my street under thing. Like it's all very Native American up there. So it's like to call it the Indians, but like, again, we're talking about Indians. They're not the Native Americans.
But let me pose some other team names though. And I think I think it's a good discussion to have. Obviously I brought up Fighting Irish. What about
Fighting Irish? To me is like, it's like, I feel like they're two separate. The fight, like the Screaming Eagles, like it's two words that are together.
Okay,
the Notre Dame Irish. Okay, Irish.
But see, I do kind of want to bring in woke culture and PC culture into it with some of these nicknames, because if we're going to discuss history, and that's what woke culture loves to do, like I said, in a way, I kind of want to pick their argument here. Their whole thing, like I said earlier in the show, is slaveholder, bad. Can't recognize any good things people did.
All right, so go through some names. I'm giving you the Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator.
Well, I think it's not just the Joaquin Phoenix. I think it's a discussion. All the pirate names, the Raiders, the Buccaneers, the Pirates. Let's just be honest. Pirates murdered people, raped women, burned down. I'm just saying, you could make an argument if you're going to go from that stance.
But who is that offending? The relatives of people who were murdered in a fire started by Captain Jack Sparrow. Like, he set off that big gunpowder explosion and my family members died. Like, we are removed from like pirate culture, right?
Somalia still has some.
Right. Okay.
They're really holding on to that, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, look, I got to say, if the Pittsburgh Pirates, welcomed their reliever in the ninth, like if their closer came in the ninth inning to like a video up on the screen of like, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm the captain now. Like, then it'd be like, you guys are taking this pirate thing a little too seriously. I thought we were talking about parrots on the shoulders pirates.
I'm just saying, I do also, even being somebody who says they should change the name Redskins, I do also understand of the where does it end. You used to have a great bit in your stand-up about teams named Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have the Carolina Hurricanes, the Miami Hurricanes, the Iowa State Cyclones. Wait, you're naming your team after
natural disaster. Yeah.
That literally decimate and kill people. So look, that's kind of where I'm at. All I'm saying is, where do we draw this line?
But again, it's like, it's the reasonable conversation. There's not some lady showing up at the Miami football games that has debris in her hair and is like, I was in a hurricane last year, and every time I hear hurricanes, it brings me back to that moment. I'm offended. Like, yeah, it is totally absurd that we are naming, that there are things named after that. But like at the same time, it's just a matter of, to me, it's really obvious. Like if we've stopped saying Indians, no one says that anymore. You wouldn't be like, this is my Indian friend, whatever. You'd say my Native American friend. He has Indian blood. Like it's two separate things. Honestly, if you're the Cleveland Indians, name them, just change it to be about Indian people.
So you think the Cleveland Indians should change their name as well?
Yeah, because we don't even say Indians anymore.
Yeah, look, it's an antiquated term. I don't disagree.
Also, if there's a minor league team out there that's like the Richmond Midgets, change that too to the Richmond Little People. Some words have been canceled a long time ago.
Yeah. Do you get where I'm going though, Joe, with that kind of discussion?
Okay. Oh yeah, but let's have the discussion. So Pirates, I think, like until I see, people that were affected by the Pirates showing up, and I mean, again, we're talking about like we now have like Captain Crunch is a pirate. You know what I mean? Like he's a well, actually he's not. He's a captain of a ship, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Like Captain Jack Sparrow is a pirate. Like we're like gone from the days of like fearing pirates.
I know, but do you see my side of saying basically the entire history of a pirate?
But I guess
rape and murder.
I guess my point is what your stance is the stance that the people who are arguing that we should keep the Redskins. Where does it end? It's like with reasonable conversations about names. That's where it ends.
Look, I'm obviously in a way playing devil's advocate again, just to kind of reiterate. This isn't my quote unquote stance. I'm trying to see things from multiple sides, and you keep using the word reasonable. And my argument back to you, as we would allude to earlier in the show, is people are ignorant, they're dumb, and they're not reasonable. That's all I'm saying. So, like, I think you and I can obviously have a reasonable and smart discussion that uses common sense. I don't think a lot of people can. That's
like, I
that's
mean, you know, you say, oh, the Buccaneers, the Raiders, or whatever. Like, even when pirates were a thing that you had to be afraid of, do you think anybody was like, run for the hills, the Buccaneers have arrived? It's like a Buccaneer is basically like a term for like a Hollywood pirate.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But again, I think you can't underestimate cancel culture. That's all I'm saying.
But again, that's why I say when we're talking about the Redskins and the Indians, this is pre-cancel culture. That's why you guys have qualified. You have been grandfathered into this conversation because we've been telling you to change your name for 40 years.
Yeah.
Before the term 35 years before the term cancel culture was a thing, people were telling you that the Redskins name is offensive.
Yeah.
Phil Simms stopped saying Redskins a decade ago.
Yeah, he stopped a few years ago. Well, the NFL.
Who else we got, man? I like this though. Come on, I want to play your game.
I mean, I was just reeling some off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those
natural disasters, pirates, fighting Irish.
Well, how about my high school? My high school. We had this discussion the other day. My high school is the St. Xavier Bombers. It's a plane bombing.
Yeah, that's not offensive. We still have bombers. We're still bombing things. Like,
how many people have died from planes bombing things? Innocent people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean,
but again, Joe, that is my point. Where you give this type of culture just a nugget, and you see it online. We discussed it. They'll just go all the way. Like, there's no nuance with anything.
Right, but I think that.
What about Crusaders?
I mean,
I'm just saying. Look at the history. The history of that was we're taking back Jerusalem.
You're talking to a guy who wants. I mean, yeah, like totally cancel Crusaders if you're asking me. I mean, I'm a guy who wants nothing to do with the mention of organized religion at all. So 100%. But again, it's I'm not talking about like, don't tell me about your great grandfather died in the Crusades, blah blah. Like, I'm talking about there are people out now who go, I personally am offended by Redskins because I'm a Native American and it's a slang term for me.
But again, I'm playing devil's advocate, but this is also true. That woke girl who's getting her shitty.
We're not talking about the woke girl though.
I know, but
the woke girl that that is parodied on Twitter. What's the Twitter account that's
Titiana McGrath?
Yeah,
it's really funny.
We're not talking about her and the people that she's mocking. We're talking about reasonable people. I'm a straight white male that thinks the Redskins should have changed their name 25 years ago. Chief Wahoo was a toothy red Indian.
No, look, I get that, but again, my point back to you would
his name was Chief Wahoo, and he was a propaganda caricature.
100%. But again, my point back in this discussion would be all these corporations, and for what it's worth, you could almost call a sports team a corporation. They're all caving. Again, I don't think it's right, but they're all caving to that woke liberal arts girl who says, oh my God, I'm so offended by Pirates. They were bad people. I'm just saying, like, this is a real discussion that I think we have to kind of play out. That's why I'm doing it, because I think you say it doesn't matter about her, and I agree with you, Joe. It doesn't. But guess what? All these dumb corporations listen. And for some reason, they let the very small, loud minority.
But that's exactly what happened with Kaepernick.
Dictate how they make decisions.
That's exactly what happened with Kaepernick.
What do you mean?
It was 8 old guys who still type letters on their typewriters, mailing letters to owners, and I've never received more letters than I received about that man, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, here's what you should do with your letters. Throw them in the trash, because anybody who's still writing letters isn't important. Your opinion is antiquated. You wrote a letter.
Well, just as antiquated as those opinions could be, so are the opinions, right, of the new woke Twitter people. Right.
That's why it's not that hard. Just be like, we are not paying attention to the vocal left, and we're not paying attention to the vocal right. We're reasonable people. We're taking a reasonable discussion. When somebody's out here with a banner saying that their life, that they take offense to the name Pirates because their family was killed recently in a pirate attack, we'll listen to you guys.
Yeah. Well, you just touched on the NFL, and they have said, or the sources say, they will play the Black National Anthem before Week 1 games, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing. And it will be performed before the Star Spangled Banner before Week 1. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about this.
Yeah. Look, it's like, I have a problem with this for so many reasons, none of which are that they're honoring Black people. I mean, nobody in the history of sports broadcasting and media has been more outspoken about the utter racism that the NFL has showed over the past few years. And I have said many times over, they solved a 2-year problem by creating a 25-year problem. The whole Kaepernick thing and the kneeling and the whatever, they catered to the 8 people who write letters, and they disregarded the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands young Black athletes out there who, like I've said, if you're the father of a young black athlete, why would you ever let him play football knowing at any point they can take his contract if he gets hurt, they can take his contract if he, commits a crime, they can take his contract if he has an opinion. At any point, they can just rip it away from him. But now for the NFL to backpedal, I mean, they're moonwalking. They're falling off a cliff. Now it's like, how about no songs?
Well, look,
instead of adding one song, how about taking away the other fucking song no one wants to hear?
I think we're in a time of gestures that don't really accomplish a lot. And I just talked about it with corporations. And I think that's what this is. It's a gesture that doesn't really do anything. And there's this quote, and I'm sure you've seen it going around on social. And it's a great quote. It's a quote from Malcolm X. And I read Malcolm X's autobiography actually in college because I was just curious to learn about him and, in his life because I didn't really know anything about him. But this quote I think is very true in this circumstance. He says, the white man will try to satisfy. God, I can't even talk. The white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equity and real justice.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great quote because this is where all these woke people are so fucking lost, in my opinion. Because the Aunt Jemima syrup bottle or the Uncle Ben's, like, that's not a big victory for justice, for equality. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
I think that quote from Malcolm X, again, is good because it applies here to the NFL. My argument would be if you want real equality, let guys be able to have opinions.
Right.
Playing a song before week one is, again, it's a smoking.
But just week one.
It's just
and also Black History Month. And also, like, it's so dumb. Dude, I got into this argument years ago. This is so long ago now that it's hilarious that we're still talking about songs and whatever. But we had the argument because I was at a Mets game and they play the national anthem, which you got to get up and stand for. You got to take your hat off. You got to face the flag. You got to whatever. And then after 9/11, they added God Bless America in the 7th inning stretch. And then some guy was like, stand up. And I'm like, bro, I already did my faux patriotism thing in the first inning. Like, and I was joking at the time. I go, we're not that far off from playing Born in the USA after the 2nd inning, Party in the USA after the 3rd inning, Neil Diamond's America after the 4th inning. And every time I got to stand up and I got to do some weird fucking dance and show my patriotism. We don't need another song to say, oh, that one song that like we threw somebody out of the league for not standing for? We're going to have another song that's for you guys. What we need is no songs.
Well, look, that's a different discussion, which obviously you can make that claim. I think that we need to understand too, when we start separating, and you see this, and I'm sure you see the videos out there, things have now gone so quote unquote woke and PC, we're almost going back to segregation. Yeah. I mean, some of these videos are wild, and you could argue in this circumstance too. It's like, oh, we have a national anthem, which in a way they're saying is for the white people, and the Black National Anthem is for the black people. And then my response would be, okay, what about the Hispanic players? What about the
Hold on one second. My something's going on outside. There's a fucking garbage truck or something. Hold on.
No worries.
How about this, Andy?
But hold on, let me finish my point real quick. My argument would be, does each ethnicity get their own national anthem? I mean, the truth is we have one national anthem, right? We have one national anthem. Let's address the bigger problems instead of trying to create every national anthem being played for every person, because that's a divider, is it not?
But it's also so stupid. Again, we're trying to fix a problem that we created instead of we're putting Band-Aids on a problem that is very easy. Remove the other one. You go to a hockey game, they play the American anthem and the Canadian anthem.
Correct.
Right? Because why?
Because huge percentage of the players are Canadian.
You know what a huge percentage of the players are? Fucking Russian.
Swedish. Yeah.
So, but here, but
well,
we play,
and also hold on.
But
the
we play
NHL
hockey in Canada as well.
Yeah.
The NHL is in Canada. But if in the NBA, you only get the Canadian anthem if you're in Toronto, or I guess if Toronto's on the road to you.
Yeah,
but if it's Memphis
they'll play it.
Versus, even though there's probably no Canadians on the fucking Raptors, but if the Lakers play the Grizzlies, no Canadian anthem. Even though we're playing basketball in Canada, even though Steve Nash is on the Lakers, we're still not doing it. How about this? Take your songs and shove them up your ass. I don't want to hear your fucking songs. Play fucking Pump Up the Jam. That's what I want to hear before a basketball game. Play fucking the goddamn Bulls song. Play fucking Go New York, Go New York, Go New York. Go. Play fucking Jay-Z in Brooklyn. Play fucking, Chingy or whatever, and wherever he's from. Yeah, exactly. But I don't care about this stupid poem about rockets from 200 years ago.
I feel you, man.
Play it at the Olympics. Okay, you're competing for your country. You get up there, you're on the podium, you competed for your country, you had the USA flag on your hat when you did your sport. Okay, totally makes sense in that realm. Totally makes sense. I'm not saying play Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA when Michael Phelps is on the podium. But I'm saying before a baseball game that is 70% Dominican, don't play the United States national anthem.
Well, again, it's been used, and I actually tweeted out, I don't know, last month, the history of the national anthem at sports events. It's basically been weaponized, for lack of a better term now, for fake patriotism and all those things. I don't really care, obviously. I'm like you, if they got rid of the national anthems, whether it's in America or whether it's at a soccer match in Italy, wherever, I don't really care. It's been completely manipulated to this fake patriotism stuff.
But the other thing is, it's not a matter of weaponizing it and fake. It's like, how about talking about why? Why is it played in the first place? What the fuck is happening here? This has nothing to do with the United States, with patriotism. These are private companies competing with players from around the world in a fucking sport that was like what?
Yeah. Well, look, we got a couple questions I saw in the YouTube comment section and also a DM question. Again, you guys can DM us at The Dirty Sports on Instagram or Twitter. Before we do that, the NFL is going to reduce, maybe I should say eliminate all the preseason games. That's what the NFLPA wants. And
all of them.
The NFL Players Association does not want any games.
Great. They shouldn't. This season or any other.
Yeah. So that's kind of where their head's at. And we'll see. Again, I think you and I have kind of explained how we feel as far as our optimism of sports happening. But we did get some comments in the YouTube section as I scroll through here. And I will get to some of these. Here's one for me. Andy from Jack McClure. Andy, you get to trade Jared Goff for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Who are you taking? Ooh. I mean.
Oh, this is for you because you're a Rams fan. I forgot.
Rams fan.
Yeah.
Right now, I would definitely say Russell Wilson. I can see the look on Joe's face.
Hey, it's a question for Andy. You're
Yeah,
taking Russell Wilson.
I'd take Russ. I think Aaron is. I don't know. We'll see how he plays this year.
Now, let me just ask you something. This is a question for you. I'm not gonna, you know,
Go for it.
mock you, or jump in, or call you an idiot. But is this solely based on age and future outlook, or if I asked you, you can trade for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers for this season, but upon the start of the next season, you go back to Jared Goff. Who are you taking?
I still take Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah. I think especially with Sean McVay, a guy who's going to actually work with him better. I don't like the scheme they run in Seattle that much. I don't think they fully utilize Russell Wilson, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
So what you're saying is today, Russell Wilson's better than Aaron Rodgers.
I'd rather take Russell Wilson. Yeah, I would. I don't know, man. I just think Aaron. I wasn't impressed last year, and he could bounce back this year. Who knows? But I just think, obviously he beat him head to head in the game in the playoffs. But I'd rather have
with a first year coach and
much better defense. I mean that's up for discussion. Obviously, I know you would completely disagree with everything I'm saying right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I need to see. I don't know where I have Aaron right now. I think both him and Tom Brady. I just need to see. I need to see some improvement this year. They're part of that old guard that it's so highly revered that.
You're not going to see improvement. Tom Brady's 43.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is older, which is why I asked you if this is a question about the future or if this is a question about now. Now, if you said it was a question about the future, that's fine. I understand that you're going to get a couple more years, theoretically, out of Russell Wilson. But you got to look at, to me, if you're going to judge, you have to judge, look at the whole thing. Aaron Rodgers put up big numbers when they weren't winning 13 games in a season, and then put up less numbers when they were good. And Russell Wilson has had great statistical seasons the last however many years when he hasn't won a single playoff game and was a game manager when he was winning Super Bowls.
It's not true. He won a playoff game last year.
Oh, right. I forgot. He beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Still a road win. It's not easy. I mean, Wentz got hurt, obviously, in the first half, but still not easy to win on the road in the playoffs.
My point is that we had a lot of years where Aaron Rodgers was statistically the best quarterback in the game, but it didn't translate to wins. And in Russell Wilson's most successful team seasons, he's not putting up the numbers that he's put up the last few years where he goes 10-6.
He was also very young. Russell Wilson's early teams, he's so much of a better player now. I mean, obviously,
statistically,
just in general, I think he's a lot better. But I mean, look, he's not. You look at his first few seasons. How many? He's rushing for 500 to 700 yards a season. He does he even crack 200 yards a season? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he's changed his whole mindset as a quarterback. And obviously, I have Russ in my top 5. You don't. Like this year. Like I said, this year for me is, if it happens, I'll be curious to see how some of these guys play. But I do want to move on. We got a couple more questions. We got a Instagram one from Matthew Villalobos.
Matty, House of the Wolves.
He says, hey guys, looking at the NBA, I feel the early 2000s was a golden age for power forwards. KG, Tim, Powell, Dirk, just to start. How do you feel about that? And is Powell one of the most underrated players of all time?
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Pau Gasol was, the face of the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Before leaving. He's the true, he was the guy who kind of put the Grizzlies on that. The Grizzlies weren't shit before that. Obviously, Conley came along, and those guys together, and Conley stuck around longer. But they were a playoff team when it was Powell's team. I mean, they weren't winning a ton of playoff series, but they were a playoff team based on Powell alone. I mean, again, Powell saved Kobe Bryant's career, in my opinion, from becoming just like a Carmelo Anthony empty scorer. And I have said many times that if you ask me, Kobe Bryant wasn't the best all-around basketball player on any of his championship teams, because if you look at what Pau Gasol was doing, not just offensively and defensively, but who he was doing it against during the power forward era, he was, the Lakers were having to beat, the KG Timberwolves. That was probably after, that was KG on Boston, but they had to beat KG in the Celtics. They have to beat Amare Stoudemire on the Suns. They have to beat Duncan on the Spurs. They have to beat Nowitzki on the Mavs. Like, Pau Gasol is matching up against all of these guys. LaMarcus Aldridge on the Blazers back then. Like, he was doing it. And what's Kobe Bryant doing?
I mean, if you look at his numbers, and I'm looking at him right now, Powell he was really great. And as someone who watched obviously all those Lakers games, and that was my first summer when he was traded to the Lakers, and first summer in LA, it's just the difference he made. The Lakers basically went from a 500 team, the year before to now. They did have a really good start in the 2007-2008 season, but I mean, Powell was just, he was a difference maker. And people don't realize, not only was Powell a very efficient, great scorer, amazing rebounder, very good passer.
Yeah.
And him and Kobe worked very well together.
In the triangle. Him and Kobe played great. They were a great duo. And I agree. And people forget he 100% saved Kobe's career. And the 90s were big. There's a lot of good power forward in the 90s. You have Barkley, you have Malone, you have Sean Kemp. There was tons of good power forwards in the 90s. But you go into 2000 to 2010. You go into that 10-year decade. We're talking about guys who are all-timers at the position. Duncan, probably the best power forward of all time. Yeah. Dirk Nowitzki, if you consider him a power forward, I don't really, but I would assume that would be what people kind of categorize him as, the same way they categorize LeBron as like a small forward. Dirk, Kevin Garnett, like, these guys are all timers.
Yeah.
Rasheed Wallace.
Powell's great. Powell's very efficient.
The window that was Amare Stoudemire. Again,
yeah, and as a
Chris Bosh,
somebody who likes the game of basketball, he was a fun guy to watch. Just I thought he was just the finesse, and Powell is so smooth. He was really good.
And all this, Powell doing it, and we can't undersell this. This is really important. Powell was able to accomplish all of that in the NBA without ever once hearing the Spanish national anthem before the game. How did he do it?
All right, our final question I see from the YouTube section from A Tech. Are we going to have to hear about how this year's championship doesn't mean anything if LeBron wins? And do you think people will use it as a knock on him if he wins? Yes to both.
It will be like, there's no, I hate to drag him into this, but there's like, if you want to know everything about how this basketball season will be handled, if LeBron wins, it's all a sham. It's an asterisk. It doesn't count. He's got 3.5 titles. If the Clippers win, back-to-back for Kawhi, he's the GOAT, dominates LeBron. This is what's like, Sam Tripoli has both of these guns ready. It's a win-win for Sam.
Yeah.
LeBron wins, it's all a sham. LeBron doesn't win, he's still a choker. And everybody's going to use this against LeBron, and only LeBron.
Yeah.
For anybody else, it's just going to be, if the Bucks win, Giannis has proven he can lead a team to a championship.
Sure.
If the Clippers win, we'll be talking about is back-to-back championships on different teams. Is Kawhi the best player in basketball?
Well, and let's not forget.
LeBron wins, it's going to be he has 3.5 titles.
And let's not forget, people already want to put an asterisk next to like the one they beat against the Spurs because Ray Allen hit a clutch shot in Game 6. I mean, this is the mindset of people who don't follow the game, who don't understand that LeBron led the Heat in points, rebounds, assists the entire series.
Yeah,
became the MVP, and they're saying, "Oh, bailed out." It's like, guys,
the millions, literally millions of people out there who have said, and will continue to say, Kyrie saved LeBron in a tie basketball game after LeBron blocked the shot to keep it a tie basketball game.
Yeah,
there are millions of people out there who are actively discussing NBA basketball and using a specific Kyrie jump shot to discredit LeBron that don't know the score of the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we return. It's a great bookend. It's a great bookend for the episode because we return to my very, very original point. Everybody's a fucking idiot.
I agree. That's the show, guys. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Dirty Sports. Again, we're going live on YouTube again, which is nice. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Andy Ruther. Joe Prano.
Andy Ruther. Andy, when are you back? August 3rd?
August 3rd. It's a Monday. I'll be back for that episode.
It's very exciting. Joe Prano on Instagram. Fix Your Life on Twitter. Thank you guys for the tweets, the IG messages. I deactivated Facebook, so that was, by the way, not even planned. I deactivated Facebook, not even thinking about my birthday. Boy, did that save me. Did that make for a great day? So thank you guys for all the messages. Joe Prano on Venmo. Thank you guys for the donations and all the stuff you guys sent me yesterday. If it weren't for the dirt balls, it would have been a real extra bad birthday. But it was you guys tried to save the day. You almost did it.
Yeah, I do want to read, actually, before we forget. Dude, I got to read this. I had not jumped on Reddit in a while. I got to read this comment from Reddit.
Did you just jump on Reddit during the show?
No, this was yesterday.
Okay.
I got to read this. Sheesh. Andy is so skinny. He looks like he is strung out or something. Andy, quit running. Put down the fucking kale salads and eat a goddamn pizza. I don't think do I look that bad? I mean, come on.
I think it's a combination of things. I think one is that you definitely have the trim runner's physique. You've also let your hair grow long, which just makes, your body look smaller. It's like, a lot can be, your hair can affect a lot. I was looking like a degenerate before I got a haircut, but like your buddy, our friend of the show, my friend too, I don't want to just call him your best friend, and now my also dear friend, Chad Cutter, sent me a birthday message yesterday and included you. And he made a joke about you being a Make-A-Wish kid when we went to the Notre Dame Navy game in San Diego because you had your head shaved, and you did look sickly in that picture. You look sick. It actually does look like Chad and I have taken a Make-A-Wish kid to a football game. But my point is, the hair can change a lot. I think you just need a haircut, dog.
Well, also though, my family's been on me, and then my neighbor brought over some what are they? Crepes? Creeps? What are they called?
Crepes.
Yeah. Did I call them creeps? And apparently she gave him the wallet and said, I saw your son running the other day without a shirt on. He needs to eat some more food. Skinny shaming is a thing in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm Italian. What are you talking about? I'm grossly overweight right now. If my Italian grandmother were alive, she'd be like, you're falling apart. Have a pasta. You look too sick.
Well, Dirtballs, thanks for the support. Thanks for all the questions on YouTube. And we'll see you guys shortly. Have a great week. And as always, stay dirty.